word is sown and takes away the word that was sown in their hearts. These likewise are the ones sown on stony ground, who when they hear the word immediately receive it with gladness. They have no root in themselves, and so endure only for a time. Afterward, when tribulation or persecution arises for the word's sake, immediately they stumble. Now, there's a false gospel that's gone out through America in the last decades, that if you do everything right, you won't have trouble. If you just do, if you just walk right and you're born again, everything's going to be a bed of roses and it's not going to be like that. Jesus said, in the world you'll have tribulation. So if we preach a false gospel and give people a false idea that once you receive the Lord, everything's going to be great now. No, that's when the war begins. So people that have that false idea, I'm just going to come to Jesus to get what I want. Some of us have twisted and perverted the gospel and made it completely man-centered. That if you receive the gospel, you're going to get all this. And they're like, yay, I take it. And after 2 weeks, when they don't get all that, they fall away. So we have to tell people the truth up front. Jesus did. I mean, Jesus never softened it. He never backpedaled. He had great multitudes. Look in Luke chapter 14. Great multitudes were following. And I wonder what Jesus was thinking. He looked at the multitudes. He thought, I think there's too many people here. I don't think they get it. That's what I think he thought. Said, great multitude. He turned around all of them and he said to them, hey, whoever doesn't deny himself and take up his cross can't be my disciple. And if you love father, mother, brother, sister, son, or daughter more than me, you can't be mine. He said, which of you intending to build a tower doesn't sit down first and plan and make sure he has all the material to build it, lest he start and build it halfway, can't finish, and everybody mocks him? What king goes out to battle, 10,000 against 20,000, doesn't send out a delegation to make peace first before he goes to battle? In other words, Jesus said, if you're going to follow me, count the cost. He said, it's going to cost you everything. This is not a false Christianity where everybody just goes to church and we're all just happy and we all just live our self-centered life. If we're going to become a disciple of Christ, we're going to take up the cross and follow him. But here's the glory of it. We become turned into the image of the Son of God. We're being prepared for eternity. So he said, when tribulation comes, they stumble. Now these are the ones sown among the thorns. They're the ones who hear the word, and the cares of the world, the deceitfulness of riches, and the desire for other things entering in choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful. That's what we have to guard against in America. We have to guard against all the cares of life making us so busy that we don't feed on the word enough, and we become unfruitful. That's what he said. But then he said, these are the ones that are sown on good ground, who hear the word, accept it, and bear fruit. And in Luke 8, when he tells the same parable, he says they bear fruit with patience. That means endurance. Some 30-fold, some 60, some 100. So now watch. Of all the believers, now there's the ones that Satan stole the word, they're not going into the kingdom. Hard ground, sprout up for a while, but they fell away. They're not going into the kingdom. They had the word, but the cares of life, riches choked out the word. The word bore no fruit. They're not entering the kingdom. But now the people that believe the word, to hold on to it. They don't let the cares of life and the lust of the flesh and pride, and they don't let it choke out the word. They hold on to it and they bear fruit. Of the people that bear fruit, there's those that bear 30-fold, 60-fold, 100-fold. Servants of God, friends of God, bride of Christ. So it all determines where do I want to be in my relationship with God? It depends on how much I give heed to the word. Later in the Gospel of Mark, Jesus said, he who has ears to hear, let him hear. And to the measure that you give, it will be measured back to you. In other words, how attentive we are when we hear the word of God to say, for example, we heard teaching for a few weeks on 2 Peter chapter 1. Remember that? With all diligence add your faith virtue, knowledge. Okay, If we forgot that now, and we're not acting on it, we're not likely to get a lot more revelation. But we say, okay, Lord, I wrote that down. Knowledge, virtue, self-control, perseverance. I'm writing it down. I'm going to practice this as part of my devotional life. I'm going to apply this word. Amen. Lord, I'm going to hold fast to this word until the day dawns and the morning star rises in my heart. See, if I'm doing that, Jesus said, if you have ears to hear, more will be given to you. If I'm not responding to the word like that, I begin to lose, and it's subtle, what I have. Help us, Lord. So that shows us that in the next life there are different levels. There's different levels of glory. The thief on the cross is not sitting next to the Apostle Paul.